Excited for this interview because, we don't get that much detail for our, what they do in the background. How do they prepare for the competition? So I'm very curious to know how our baristas prepare for a world competition like this. We'll know more about that. Um, Gio's preparation, his choice of coffee, the equipment that he will be using. And speaking of Gio, he's here. Gio, you can join me now. Let's put him here. Hey
Hello,
man.
hello.
Hi Gio. Good afternoon. Thank you
Yeah, good afternoon.
for spending a little bit of your time today. I know you're busy. By the way, guys, Gio came from his roastery and now in this cafe. Thank you for the opportunity. But before we start, guys, if you're not familiar with what Gio's doing, his bar. For those who doesn't know Gio, it's going to be very good question. So Gio is our 2020 Philippine Brewers Cup champion and founder and you say chief roaster of the Good Cup Coffee based in Cebu. So Gio, again, thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk to you. We're very excited. We're very, I don't know, very hyped with this upcoming competition because this was
Hello.
supposed to be last year, right?
Yes,
This was supposed to
yes.
be last year, but because of COVID, we had to move it to this year. And supposedly, I think it was supposed to happen in Taiwan, right? And then now it's in Milan,
Yeah.
uh, pretty far. And
Yeah, I know. So it was
so,
supposed to be in Taiwan last June. I think they
yeah.
moved it to October for Milan. Yeah.
So how are you preparing for this competition? Is it an advantage? Because of the delay, did it give you more time to prepare?
I think
How are you doing it?
I think regarding with the delay, it's very uncertain. So I would say from my observation talking to fellow competitors, um, they didn't start practicing their open service spiel not until uh, there was a final announcement regarding the 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 dates for Milan. So I spoke to them. They were just like weighing things out. But one thing that I know, I know a lot of guys who were practicing for compulsory. So during the competition, we're judged in two different rounds. So first round is the compulsory, where the organizers give us one coffee and the same coffee for everyone, and we prepare it as best as we can, depending on our brewing method. So
Mhm.
that's the round. That's the first round for the competition. The second round is the open service, where we bring our coffee, we present within 10 seconds, and then we narrate our story, our concept of brewing. So personally, I've been practicing for compulsory,
Mhm.
um, but for open service, I practiced for one coffee for 6 months. Oh no, this was right after the nationals last March. I was practicing for Melbourne,
Mhm.
so I at that time, straight from Manila. This was March. I was practicing for Melbourne, and I was supposed to use a coffee from 90 plus Panama. So I work around that spiel, around that concept. But as COVID went by, and we never expected it would be
Yeah.
delayed this long,
Yeah.
and it would be pushed back further. Uh, I didn't practice not until a month ago for my open service, so it's very new. It's just very. I just started practicing. I would say at the last week of September,
Mhm.
the last week of August rather,
August.
and
Okay.
I started um, I started to finalize my coffee last September, first week of September. So
Wow.
it's quite a challenge for a lot of competitors, because when the Worlds was announced, there were a lot of competitors that didn't prepare for it. And
Yep.
then if you look at it on a, so what usually happens is competitors will use the freshest coffee possible, because when it's very near from harvest date, it's when it's very close to the harvest date. Sometimes a lot of these complex coffees, they tend to taste less intense, and it's quite
Mm-hmm.
tricky because there are also other coffees where if it's near the harvest date or harvest period or picking period and harvest period, um, it will taste also intense. So it's that those are the challenges that we see,
Right.
choosing the right coffee, choosing the right concept. So it's but I'm having fun. I'm enjoying the process. I when I started practicing, I deleted my Instagram and my Facebook application, and an account was just focused solely. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of things happening and improvements day by day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
So,
hope we get to carry. So Adrian, I also spoke with him, and he also has a lot of things that he prepared. You know, it's a very exciting season for
yeah,
us.
yeah, and it's just about you going in the competition. You really have to think about the choice of coffee, the
Hmm.
routine, the spiel that you will tell the judges. You have to say a story, right?
Yes,
At the same time, the equipment that you will use. So,
yes.
can you tell us the equipment that you will use, or this still confidential?
Well, the equipment I'll be using, I think I can. I would say I can reveal a portion of it.
Okay.
It's a custom flatbed brewer.
Oh, wow.
So I think
Interesting.
that's
Interesting.
the best I can uh, like talk about the equipment. But at the same time, um, that's also one thing, choosing the right equipment for the right coffee
Yeah.
that fits the concept that you want to um, talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's technically what you want to focus on talking and sharing to the judges for 10 minutes, and how can you make it very valuable,
Right.
and at the same time, how can you connect everything that you say to the final cup,
Yeah.
because you may have a very good spiel but the final coffee doesn't. There are a lot of disconnect, meaning there are flavors that are not found from what you what you spoke about. So those are the challenges that we see. But for the equipment, I'm pretty sure about using that flatbed brewer, and
Hmm.
I've been getting very good results. So what we do uh, qualitative and quantitative tests. So different coffees, same dripper, my competition coffee, and then different. So I separate the technical practice and I separate the spiel practice.
Hmm.
I don't I don't I don't mix them all together. Um, that's also for me to have a better focus on what do I want to improve first, or
Yeah.
at this today, what do I want to improve? Yeah, it's fun. I'm learning a lot, and I now understand why there are a lot of competitors that they always compete every year, from Brewers Cup to Barista Cup, because they
Hmm.
really learn a lot from the practice, from the process. It's not about competing for the sake of competing because you have the best coffee, but it's also for me. I found a larger purpose other than just presenting a coffee or presenting something. It's really I learned so much, and at the same time, I also learned this is where the choosing the right equipment is the part where you need to look at one brewing method and look at it in a lot of sides as much as possible.
Yep.
So let's say um, if you want to compete with this brewing method, um, what does it bring and what does it highlight? And then let's say, okay, it highlights a better body. And logically, judges will say, so you meant that. So what you're trying to imply is that if you're using this will give you a better body. So you need to think about those kind of angles, not
Yeah.
just as a brewer, also as a judge, also as a spectator, because eventually people watching will also uh, validate if what you're doing
Right.
is repeatable or factual, right? So that,
Yeah,
that
and
that's a challenge of choosing the right equipment, choosing the right brewing method.
yeah, and then during the Brewers Cup, we discover a lot of new brewers, right? A lot of new
Right.
brewers, a lot of new methods of brewing, uh, different type of coffees, and most of the time we want to repeat that at home. We want to make sure that it's repeatable. In terms of you talked about your preparation, about the coffee. Is there any? Can you tell us what's the origin of the coffee that you will use, or it's or
We
the
can
country
discuss
will?
about that later,
Oh,
or we can do a trivia about that.
oh, okay.
But yeah,
So,
it's a coffee that we carry. It's an origin that we carry a lot,
mhm,
um,
okay.
and yeah, so it's very exciting. Choosing the when I was starting to choose the coffee that I'll use, there were a few choices, and there were also nice. There were also choices that weren't geishas. So it was a pretty nice process where you get to understand. So like for me, choosing the right coffee is just it's like um, it's like when you're choosing to buy something, there are eureka moments where it's just the connection is just there. So
Mhm.
even if like let's say in score wise, this coffee is the highest scoring coffee on the table, but when you tasted it, you don't feel that connection. That's a time where we're in. Should I compete? I question myself. Should I compete with this coffee? It's a high scoring coffee, and at the same time, I move on to the next coffee. And after tasting that, you then get that eureka moment, that shift of like, wow,
This
I
is the
want to.
one.
This is the one, and I want
Yeah.
to compete with this coffee. So that makes
Right.
things very personal. So it's very personal because it's something you enjoy, and it's something that you want to share to the judges. So that's how I chose my competition coffee. I only tasted the free shipment samples, and uh, it's there are a lot of challenges, to be honest.
Mhm.
Um, my coffee's shipment was super delayed, um, and I would say it just landed. Uh, it just landed Manila today.
Oh wow.
So no, it just landed Cebu today. So
It's
what I
now in
have
Cebu.
now,
Hmm.
yeah, what I have now are pre-shipment samples. So samples sent.
Oh,
So those are the things that are those are the challenges that I'm encountering. But at the same time, you get to learn how to work around it, and you get to somewhat um, you get to understand a lot of different aspects. Yeah, and at the same time, it also builds up. It also improves a certain character. Let's say patience, which is very
mhm.
important in the coffee. If you're in the coffee industry, so yeah, so I'm very happy with the coffee that I'll be using, and yeah, I can I think we can do a trivia about that.
Later. Yeah. Yeah. And is there a difference? When you prepared for the national, excuse me, national championship versus the world champions. Is there any difference between your preparation with the routine, um, or it's the same? Uh,
Um, there's a lot of difference. I would say it's a totally new. It's like my whole spiel and my whole preparation process was totally reinvented when I started preparing for the worlds. I think nationals was just because I only started practicing for nationals. I only when I received the copy that I wanted to use, and that's February 5, and the nationals was March 10. So it was quite thrilling because my just to be sure that I would compete using that coffee. I flew to Taiwan to get the coffee, and then tasted it with my colleague from Taiwan, and understood how he roasted it, how he wants how he wants to brew this coffee. So I get to have a little background. That was the start of for me. That was the start of the preparation process for the open service, because it's so hard to prepare when you don't have the coffee yet. It's so hard to prepare when you don't have the coffee yet, because it's so hard to write a personal connection and narrate something very personal when you don't have that product that you want to connect to the judges yet. Yeah. So the nationals, and then I realized, like, since in our cafe we brew using a Lily Dripper and a Hario V60 that has a round hole like a Tetsu Kasuya, and I realized since we do that every day, and in our cafe we serve roughly around 300. This is pre-pandemic. We serve around 300 cups per day, and I would say 30% of that are filter coffee. So since since every day of my life I brew using this brewing method, I will compete using this brewing method and using this concept. Yep. And I will use this coffee that I just that I have a personal connection with. And then every day was like the prep. Since February 5 down to March 10, it was all cramped up in 1 month to prepare. But for Worlds, it's a totally different ball game. It's the scores, the level of expectation, especially it's done in Europe. The level of expectation that the judges will score competitors is so high. So you need to not trash, but more of you need to completely erase what you think how the nationals would be, and just look at it on a totally different perspective and a totally different level. Because so that's why it's challenging also for me, because it's my first time competing for. It was my first time competing for nationals, and it's my first time competing for Worlds.
Oh. And they said that the most difficult thing to do in similar process like this is to unlearn what you've learned. Yes. Because it's like, everything that was taught to you, that this is the basic and this is how you do it. And then going to the Worlds, it's like it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Because of this. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that it's going to be difficult, but with all when I heard about your preparations, I think it's going to be a little easier because you've been wanting this, and I think I'm pretty excited just to let you know. This is something that hopefully it will be something that will result to a trophy.
You can bring. We'll do our best. Yeah. But it's fun because. When I started practicing, I felt all it's like by the time I started practicing, and this was like around August, I felt all the nervousness. Like you get so nervous, and when you're so nervous, sometimes the way you mobilize is very limited or very weird. So that was my first week, and then during my second week, it became comfortable, and then after that, you get to slowly understand why do you really want to do this, and what kind of concept do you really want to talk about, and at the same time you need to understand the why. Like, so that also led me to feeling better every week, because I see the incremental improvements. Like, okay, this week we've done we've already narrowed this down. We're done with this one. Let's move to the next, and let's move to the next. But yeah, it's a cycle where you need to, and at the same time, one of the traits I also that I also learned when competing is you need to be humble enough to unlearn what you think is right, because what you think is right might not be the exact right fact. So you need to unlearn, and you need to be humble enough to, okay, so this is wrong. what I used to think before is wrong. So yeah, those are the things that those are the realizations that I also uh, gathered during preparation.
And coffee keeps on changing, right? Whatever that you will be brewing today, it will taste different tomorrow. So I think it's
Yes,
the consistency and the process on how you extract that coffee, excuse me, is something that should be repeatable. You cannot
yes,
just do it that, okay, this is my brewing method for today, and then tomorrow it will still be the same.
yes,
It will produce a different cup of coffee. So I think that's where also the challenge is, right? So,
yes.
and who inspires you? I know this is
Um,
going to be very tiring, right? The stress is high, but who inspires you to be better every day?
well, for me, what inspires me is that as a company, what like I will talk about what inspires me as on a personal level and as a company. On a personal level, I would say during the pandemic, what really gave me so much inspiration is seeing the joy of customers and seeing the joy of people you connect with through coffee. Because and at the same time, that's where I get inspiration to run the whole to run Good Cup. But at the
Yep.
same time, on a personal level, I would say my wife inspires me a lot. She always keeps she always continuously raises the bar for me to improve. So that's something that's I'm happy to get that kind of support where uh, I, I I there are times where you get uninspired, you get unmotivated because of the pressure, and then um, after that I get inspired. So I get inspired with a lot of, uh, but mainly with running Good Cup, I would say I get inspired with a lot of customers and a lot of uh, a lot of experiences that they share back to us.
Mhm.
Good experiences, we cherish those, and those are the things I also cherish. Bad experiences, it inspires us to do better. So if you look at Good Cup 2018, and you look at the company now, it's a totally different. For us, it's like a totally different
Mhm.
brand. But at the same time, the people running it is still the same. And
Yep.
yeah, a lot of things inspire me. Mostly creative, the creative aspect um, of how amazing creative people execute something. So I get so much inspiration from not just from coffee, but also from music, from arts, from design and architecture.
Yep.
Immersing myself with how this piece was made, even as simple as a chair. I get so much
Yeah.
inspiration on how this chair on architects. I also look up to a lot of architects and understanding their design process. So those are the things that inspire me on a personal perspective. On a company perspective, I would say one thing that always inspires us is the joy that the customers give us by narrating their experience. And
Right.
for us, that's the driving factor of why we want to source better coffees, or why we want to source or do more crazy stuff
Mhm.
like you know the things that we do because we feel that it's going to be fun for the customers.
Right.
So yeah, that's those are the things that inspire me. Yeah.
Very interesting. I think let's ask our audience let's give them an opportunity to ask you some questions. So probably we have room for two two
Yeah,
questions
yeah.
from our audience. Yeah.
Yes.
So just put it in the chat room, and while we're waiting for that question, I got a comment here, and I think we have a new quote in the coffee industry. He said, this is a quote from Balderrama. The quote is, "You need to be humble enough to unlearn what you think is right," by Gio. I think that's a very good one. Uh, being humble and accepting, that you need to be challenged is one thing. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. And
yeah, yeah,
I've learned that um, I've learned that like especially in coffee where it's a very complex beverage or it's a
mm,
very complex industry, there are new every day there's a new dripper that's being designed,
yeah.
there's a new process that's being conceptualized. So it's you need to continuously unlearn things that you think is right to give way to what is truly right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
we have a question from Kape Takape. Kape Takape. Okay. Sergio, where do you see the coffee industry going in the next 5 years?
Good question. I would say the coffee industry in the next 5 years, um, we will see more home brewers than ever. And I would say that the pandemic catapulted the growth of people preparing coffee at home. And people preparing coffee at home also drove the growth of quality as a whole, as a local industry. And when you drive the quality up, the when you drive the quality up, the most beneficial stakeholder are the consumers. So I see that there will be more consistent coffees produced in the next 5 years. There will be more people talking about coffee, um, and there will be more people brewing their coffees at home, and that will also drive the commercial chains to elevate their quality. So it's really
Yeah.
we somewhat see that cycle happening now, and I would say it won't stop not until the next 5 years because the pandemic just skyrocketed the appreciation of
Yeah.
coffee in general. And like let's say if we look into our customer base, I would say more than 50% of that are people who just started drinking that level of quality of coffee on March of 2020 or April
Yeah.
of 2020 or the start of the pandemic. So
Yeah.
in the next 5 years, I would see more of these home brewers becoming business owners.
Yeah.
So it's very beneficial for the industry because when the quality goes up, the most the customer it's very beneficial for the customers. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And I agree with you. Uh, there's a big increase in the home brewer industry as well. It became now an industry because a
Yeah.
lot of everyone is switching from the stores to online. So I think a lot of catching up to do also for
Hmm.
our roasters and distributors. Okay, it's amazing how this pandemic became the reason why home brewers are growing. Okay, we have one last question from I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, so I'm sorry. Rigorio 13. How do you see our Philippines? How do you see our Philippine coffee beans progressing? So this is more of the local scene, more of local scene of
um,
coffee beans.
it's better than ever, and it's improving at a fast rate where it's just now that consumers know who produced this coffee from the Philippines. It's
Yep.
just now that consumers are tagging the farmer of who produced this coffee from the Philippines. And you have never seen that before where
Mm-hmm.
you get to personally know the farmer by name, by face, and you get to know their Facebook account, you get to know their Instagram account.
Yeah.
No, now
Yeah.
now consumers are tagging, let's say Sergio Loon
Oh yeah. Yeah.
or they're we have it's we're currently at the phase now where the link between the consumer and the farmer is getting closer because of social media and connectivity because we can easily easily relate because the accessibility of that product is now very available. Meaning, before, if you want to buy a coffee from produced by this farmer, you need to look for the roasters. But now, if there's one farmer and you just search the name, you will see a lot of roasters carrying their coffees. And then when you order, everything is transacted online, it gets delivered. So the accessibility of local beans is starting to become very, it's starting to become very available. It's starting to become very efficient rather.
Yep.
And that for me is driving the quality up because when consumers, I mean, the market for coffee drinkers that are appreciating that level of quality is technically small if you compare it to the majority of the instant coffee market, which is the mass market. But at the same time, we see a lot of people now saying, wow, I just went to this coffee chain that I used to go every day. And then I just realized that the coffee I brewed at home, which is a Philippine coffee, is better than this. So they're starting to become more knowledgeable. And when you become knowledgeable, you start to compare. And when you start to compare, you start to know what a certain level of quality is. So the knowledge as a whole, as a market, is helping increase the level of quality that the farmers are producing because the demand of quality is also starting to increase. So I'm very happy. It's our first year today to roast, to start to commercially roast and sell Robusta. And we're very happy with the quality. And we're for this year we've multiplied our purchase for local coffee to more than 5 times compared to last year. So we want to purchase more local coffee. We have already purchased more local coffee. A lot of it are landing, and that's we see that happening, and we see that these farmers will they will immerse into a they will have a mindset where I need to outperform my last year's crop. I need to outperform my last year's harvest. So imagine if they continuously make each year better, that's very beneficial for us consumers.
Yeah.
So I see it happening, and I am very happy that it's happening.
Yeah, we can always see that in the social media. I also get tagged with different, and people are now, homebrewers are now purchasing more than one dripper.
Yes,
they want to experiment. What will they have with this type of brewer versus this type of brewer? So
yes.
It's very interesting, and the industry is really growing.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like the sneaker market, where when there was a trend of sneakers starting to and then everyone just wants to buy the whole line.
Right.
I think that's what's happening to the coffee industry, where I need to buy the latest dripper, I need to buy the most trending coffee, the latest kettle. So yeah, I see it happening.
The latest cup. Yeah. So, Gio, thank you very much for the very great insights. And we still have a few more minutes available for us to talk about trivia contest time.
Yeah, definitely.
Our good friend Gio, again, will have a special prize from Good Cup, right? From Good Cup, we will have a special prize if you will be able to answer this question. Okay?
Yes.
We did not reveal this during the discussion, so it's something that you have to guess. I have to look very carefully in the chat section. So whoever answers it first will receive a gift from Gio. Okay? So are you guys ready for the first question? And this is like a reveal as well. Okay, so this is like a reveal. First reveal in the world stage. Wherever you're watching, you will now know what is this all about. Okay, so first question is, what do you think is Gio's origin? Competition coffee origin. So what's the origin of Gio's competition coffee. Let's see if they will be able to guess it.
Yeah, I'm checking the comments also.
Oh, we have April Lou. April Lou, I saw. And then we have Brad Yu. Okay. Okay. So people guess Colombia, Indonesia, Ethiopia, Gesha, Colombia, Kenya, Yunnan, Gesha, Ethiopia. Okay. On my screen, so this is the winner. April Lou. April Lou, you got it right. Gio, can you tell us
Yeah,
something about this origin? Yeah.
it's a coffee from Colombia, which is one of my favorite origins. Yeah, I'm excited to use that coffee for the worlds. It's something very personal as well. I really enjoy drinking that coffee.
Congratulations, April Lou.
Congratulations.
Please send me or Gio a message so that we know that we can connect with you for the shipping and all. Next
Yeah.
question. You know, I was asking Gio. Well, I asked Gio about this earlier, and I made the wrong guess. But so, how old is Gio? How old is Gio? Let's see if they will be able to guess it right. Okay. We're getting answers. Close. 23, 26, 37, 32, 33, 30, 35. Okay, we have the right answer, but I think I will forfeit this guy. Okay, we have a winner. Brad Liu, you guess it right. Gio is 25 years old. 25 years old. So thank you. Congratulations, Brad.
Congratulations, Brad.
Gio will connect with you or send us a message, and we'll also try to reach out. But I think you're leaving, right? So you won't be able to get it. I'll get it on your behalf, Brad. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat for spending your time with me and Gio. Gio, thank you for the opportunity for sharing. Your experience, your practice, all the hardship for this upcoming world stage competition. Good luck. Good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you.
And we will watch online. This will be streamed, guys. So just head on to the World Brewers Championship website. They will be streaming. They will be streaming the contest. Gio, maraming salamat. Thank you. And to our audience for watching us, maraming salamat. Good
Thank
luck.
you as well. Yeah, thank you. I would like to also thank Patrick Rolf for helping me out. So he's coaching me to for the worlds, and at the same time, Eric Liao of Taiwan. He's been helping me a lot, and my whole Good Cup team for helping me as well. And at the same time, the people who are there to everyone who's excited for this upcoming worlds. Thank you very much, Chris. I enjoyed today's session. It's nice to talk about these things again.
Yeah. And happy drinking. See you guys soon. Happy weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.
Cheers. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.